Views of WSIC.
Purple Heart Homes presents Putting the Pieces Back Together, a forum for veterans and the community to connect. Here are your hosts, veterans John Gallina and Brad Borders.
Well, hello.
It is so great to be here with you on this beautiful day. We got a lot of really cool stuff planned out for today. Are you ready?
I'm absolutely ready. I am so excited, but I don't know how I'm going to be able to figure out who I'm talking to, because your name's John and our guest's name is
John.
Yeah. This is going to be
you got two greats. Just say, Mr. Great. Thank you for being on the show with me today. I'm so glad to be in your presence.
And if I say Mr. Great and both of you answer,
that might be likely to happen.
Yeah.
I will acquiesce to Mr. Broda because he is my favorite CEO of all that we have worked with over the years.
Oh yeah. He's a pretty impactful guy out there. What exactly does Mr. Broda do?
He is the CEO of AFFN, Armed Forces Financial Network, and we met John. I don't know, John, probably maybe 15 years ago or so now, through Credit Union National Organization. And as we started going to some of those events, and John was really one of the first ones to embrace us and to take us under his wing and be able to help us. And he's done fundraisers for us. He's contributed to projects. He's made introductions and really helped us navigate the credit union space, which is all about taking care of communities and taking care of people and members. And so we're really proud to have John on with us today.
Wow, yeah, that's. I'll tell you what. When I heard he was coming on, I was pretty excited. He's probably one of the most prominent guests we've had, and I think it's going to be a great show.
You know, I will say this: while he is on the air with us, I think the only reason we're getting him today is because he's not in the air, which is where his office is normally at. He's the only person I know that flies more than I do.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, guys. Good thing we're not on screen, because through technical difficulties, I'm not on. But I'd have a bigger head than I usually do. It's certainly my honor and privilege to be here with you all and supporting your great mission. We did meet John, many years ago at the Defense Credit Union Council meeting in San Diego, and it happened to have been on Dale's birthday, and he was away from you all and his family, and we took him under our wing and brought him into our family, the Defense Credit Union Council, and then AFFN. And we've been, great partners ever since, supporting your mission and purpose. So I'm honored to be here, and I'm glad not to be in the air today. So thank you for scheduling this. It's good to be home.
That's right. You know, I just want to make one point of reference as we began the show. I was really impressed with Devin, and I have recently come in contact with the School for the Marines. We previously did not know there was such a thing, but there actually is a school for the Marines, and I realize now that Devin does actually know how to count. He realized that there are two Johns on the show, and we have found out why he knows this, because he has a United States Marine Corps certificate that says that he has completed the course prescribed by the Commandant of the Marine Corps for Math for Marines. And that this was given at the Marine Corps Institute in Washington, D.C. And so congratulations there.
Well, thank you.
We're glad that you do know how to use your fingers.
The old MCIs. Now I have to make a confession. I never took Math for Marines.
You forged that? You forged that certificate? Or did somebody forge it for you? Possibly.
Better check to see if it's in crayon.
It does look like it's got some crayon marks on it. Ironically, for those that I don't know if you can see that or not, but yeah, wherever you.
Is that my actual certificate?
It is. See,
how did you find that?
Oh, I got people. and this. I felt that there was some relativity. Actually, Brad, I can't lie, Brad, who's on the road today. It's his turn to travel and go speak, and so he's down in Columbia, South Carolina. Secret mission, and in the process, so we said, hey, look, if we're going to have somebody here from the Armed Forces Financial Network on the show today, then we're going to talk about numbers and counting and see what we can come up to pick with Devin on.
Well, I hate to burst your bubble, but I can actually count. I just can't spell.
Oh, okay.
My wife will be right in there telling you all about that.
Yeah. So John, I want to get to a couple of things with you, and so much to unpack, and all the great things that you do. I was telling Devin and some of the guys about Dog Tag Bakery. I know that is a organization and a mission that's near and dear to your heart. Would you share a little bit about that with us?
So before I talk about dog tag, I think for your listeners, the Armed Forces Financial Network, we are an ATM and point of sale network that was founded by the Department of Defense, U.S. Army Finance back in 1985. So we connect our military banks and our defense credit unions so that we can serve those who serve or have served military families and civilians. So that's all I do. My day job is running this network amongst our banks and our credit unions and our retailers at home in the great state of North Carolina, or in the great first state of Delaware, where I'm at, or around the globe. And secondarily, our mission is to connect our members with like-minded organizations that want to do good and be kind, right? And so we call our secondary network that human network, right, where we connect companies like your own, Purple Heart Homes, with Dog Tag and Fisher House Foundation and Warrior Strong and so many more. But yeah, we connected with Dog Tag Bakery out of Washington, D.C. through the Fisher House Foundation, because AFFN supports the foundation and every single Fisher House from Landstuhl, Germany to Bethesda over to Tripler in Hawaii. And Dog Tag has been a great partner for the Fisher House Foundation and AFFN since they stood up. And it's a living, breathing business school. And basically, they have a retail shop on the first level in Georgetown that sells outrageous products, brownies, blondies, cookies, lunches, breakfast. John, I think you and I had met there a couple of times when you've come to DC, and they employ civilians and veterans. And so downstairs is their profit center, where they're, covering the cost of running retail organization, and through profits and then their donation is their business school upstairs. And they qualify wounded warriors transitioning from the military, military spouses or caregivers, to come into a cohort several times a year. And while they're there, they take care of body, mind, and soul, helping these folks transition, right, from military life to civilian life. And they'll have visiting professors come in from Georgetown University, and folks like us come in from industry, and then a myriad of other folks, right? And so they're taught, but they also, during their cohort, have to run every position within that bakery. So by the time they graduate, they will know how to run a small business. And now they're prepared, right, to go out into the world and do what they want to do best.
John, I'm going to interrupt you just for a second. And, it's obvious to me now that you've been hanging out with our good friend Tony Hernandez way too much. As you're doing this thing in the correct order, whereas in the Army, we like to do things in reverse and backwards and sometimes 2 and 3 times. But thanks so much for giving us that rundown of AFFN, and we are going to be right back. We're going to pause for just a second so we can go to a commercial break and hear a word from our sponsors. Stand by. You don't want to miss the rest of the show.
More Putting the Pieces Back Together with John Gallina and Brad Borders coming up on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
There's 3 breaks. Well, hey, John, we're back, and this is the break, but we are live on Facebook still. So all those folks out there and listening on Facebook or X and YouTube and all the other places that you can get the show, Spotify. Have I named them all?
I think you've named them all.
Oh man,
yeah.
Yeah. They're all still able to listen to us. So if you got a curse word you need to say, now's the time.
No, sir. No curse words here.
Oh, okay. Well, I always say that just to
That's only your Marine friends.
Only my Marine friends. Yeah. It's not my friends that cuss on the radio. It's
but they're all Marines.
No.
I think they have been. We can go back and re-listen.
You know,
What were all those stations you can re-listen to it on? All right, let's get serious for just a moment. It's so hard for me, John. This is a new seat. The studio's underwent some renovations, and in the process, they've put me in a seat where I actually have to look at Devin. And
this is a little awkward.
It is a little different for me.
That's a tough assignment, huh?
I love Devin. Don't get me wrong.
Wow.
So, John, tell me, it's been so long since we've connected, and just really, really was excited when Devin told me that you were going to be on the show. Tell me, how you been doing? How's life and your travels? You were in Hawaii for the Hawaii Credit Union Conference, right?
Yeah, we were over there for the Association of Military Banks of America, their board meeting, and meeting with our bank members there, as well as our credit unions. We have, been supporting the Pacific Rim since 1985. So a number of those members are our charter members, and we haven't been back since COVID. So we have deep roots and a great Ohana family with our banks and our credit unions, and we continue to grow in that part of the region.
And we got just about a minute before we'll go back into the live show. We have, since we went there with you the first time for that first credit union conference that we were there for, we've been able to assist, I believe, about 6 veteran projects now.
That's awesome.
It's up there, and it's pretty impressive to be able to help people that far away from home base. I mean, you couldn't get any further away from PHH. Well, maybe Alaska.
I
don't know. I think Hawaii's further.
I think it is further. Takes a lot longer to get there. I know that.
Well, I just told you I faked that math Marine, so
maybe geography as well. But John, we should come into St. Pete in August.
Putting the pieces back together continues now. Here are your hosts, John Gallina and Brad Borders, on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
I told you that John Broda was my best, my favorite, and the most awesome CEO of Armed Forces Financial Network, and he just proved it. If you missed it, you need to go to the Facebook Live where you can listen to his jokes about Marines education.
Wow, yeah, it was pretty devastating to my ego there. It's usually the guests don't get in on it.
So, John, you were telling us a little bit about Dog Tag Bakery. You had shared some of AFFN's work, and just kind of pick up where you left off. And I think Dog Tag Bakery is just one of the most cool and awesome places around, and it is located in Washington, D.C. And how did you come about learning about it? And tell us a little bit more again as to the work that they're doing.
President and CEO the year they launched, and again through the Fisher House Foundation. And that was Tish Stropes that did our introduction, because we were all supporting the DoD Warrior Games at Quantico. And that was the connection. And that speaks to what I was talking about earlier, was, connections, right? Civilians wanting to support our active duty, our Guard and Reserve, and our veterans. And so here we are, civilians in our roles, doing what we do for our business, but then finding the side hustle, right? Finding what makes us tick and what's important. And Dog Tag is at the heart of that for me. Fisher House Foundation, Hope for the Warriors. I mean, there's so many veteran service organizations that we've tapped into, vetted, of course, but want to do good work together. And we've done great work together, and we've turned on, our military banks and our defense credit unions in support of it as well, just like we have with Purple Heart Homes. So for example, they're retail, right? Instead of sending, flowers or whatever throughout, for family, for gifts, for holidays, we tap into Dog Tag. And so for every board meeting I host throughout the year, for every family event, for promotions and such, we go to Dog Tag Inc. and go to their website and go to catering, and you can send, gift boxes of great product, right? With a mission and statement inside, and a purpose statement that says, here's what you're doing by supporting this gift. And they're awesome. They're a no nut, no allergy kind of bakery. no chemicals, no preservatives. It's just amazing. But I think what's more important is when someone receives that and they open up, and read what this organization's all about, it's that much better of a gift. So if you have a chance to visit them or visit them online, certainly it's well worth the trip and well worth the experience. And when Devin asked me, coming on today, would I mind giving one or two other leads to organizations that want to support Purple Heart Homes and this series? And I think, Devin, what did I come up with? A list of 10?
Oh yeah, yeah. It was quite impressive. And by the way, we I actually spoke to their new marketing director the other day. I think yesterday about them coming on the show. So we're going to hear a little bit from them themselves. When I say them themselves, I mean Dog Tag Bakery, because I realized as that came out of my mouth that didn't make any sense.
And by the way, Megan just recently married last year, and she married a Marine. So there's another one
Oh,
for
God bless her.
Those are the ones I have to be careful with, John. Moms of America took out an arrest warrant on me here several months ago for picking on their Marines, and so I have to be really careful when we have spouses and moms of Marines on the show with us. But,
oh man,
it's and I just want to say too, the product, whether it's the cookies, the brownies, everything I've ever eaten there, been there both in person and been thankful that, John, you've mailed product down here to us for various events, and it is absolutely delicious. I mean, it's a first class operation, and when you walk into their cafe, one of the most impressive parts that I have really come to appreciate is all the dog tags that are hanging from the
oh,
ceiling.
they physically have the dog tags hanging there. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they have a chandelier there that's made of dog tags, and they have another one upstairs in the school where those dog tags are then dedicated to folks. And dog tag has honored me with a one dedicated to my family,
Oh,
and so
that's
that's
cool.
hanging in Georgetown as well. And I have the other one here up on my wall with my military challenge coins next to my Dale Beatty plaque. So yeah,
That's
they're just an awesome organization that truly bleeds red, white, and blue. Right? They're all about supporting our military and veteran
well,
communities.
that's really cool. So you found them, and you're obviously been a huge supporter of them, and you're supporting a lot of these other organizations. Like you said, you gave me a list of 10. How do you go about finding these other organizations that you with AFFN are supporting?
So we have a great network of our military banks and defense credit unions throughout the United States and throughout the world. And AFFN 21 years ago launched what was called the AFFN Military Community Support Program. And what we do is we work with our AMBA banks and our defense credit unions, um, and provide a matching grant every year on a project that's important to them. So, for example, Purple Heart Homes, when Hanscom Federal Credit Union wanted to do something in Massachusetts for a veteran, they did a program, they submitted it to us for a matching grant and worked with you all to take care of that project. So, through that grant application over the years, we've come across a number of veteran service organizations that have made a difference and continue to make a difference. And again, AFFN is a small player in the grand scheme of things when it comes to, debit and credit card networks throughout the world. And we kind of tend to support the underdog, right? To support the small organizations that have huge impact. And so we got the lists from there, and then other organizations come to us, right? They've seen the work that we've done and said, hey, we want to work with you all. And again, we vet them, right? We want to make sure that they're doing good and being kind. And again, through this matching grant program that was started 21 years ago, we've given back in this unique partnership $5.5 million directly
Wow,
to troops and their families,
that's a big
directly
number.
to soldiers, to veterans, to military families, not to aid organizations that may take money off the top, but truly right down boots on the ground in the communities where our banks and our credit unions invest. And so we're quite proud of that program, and we continue. Right now, we launched it a month ago, and we're already probably about 65% to capacity for our grants this year. And we just again continue to do good work. And again, one of the organizations that came out of our matching grant program were 4 military spouses of the year, amazing women. And they were looking to create their own nonprofit, their own 501(c). And we had worked with them, we knew them through our veteran and military space. And when they needed help to stand up their 501(c) and covering legal costs and stuff, we gave them a matching grant. And to this day, now in our 6th year supporting them, they do amazing work every single day. But through them and their campaign of Giving Tuesday Military, AFFN and DCUC and AMBA have been the primary sponsor of Giving Tuesday Military, where last year millions of acts of kindness and goodness were celebrated on that military Giving Tuesday.
Wow, that's amazing.
Really easy to hear why he's one of my favorites, right? I mean,
yeah,
just got an absolute heart of gold.
And what
amazing
the work they're doing is just super impressive.
Yeah. So, John, you were sharing a little bit about AFFN and you talked about it being global, but just kind of put that into perspective for our listeners in the sense of, how many points of contact you guys really have with the troops.
So to the consumers, our brand has been out there since 1985. Often in our military and veteran space, we're confused with AFN, Armed Forces Network, the Eagle in Europe, right? So we have an extra F in there for the Armed Forces Financial Network. But we have 375 military banks and credit unions, those that want to do business with our military men and women, the veteran community, and civilians. About 93 million cardholders, about 800,000 ATMs domestically and internationally, and about 2.3 million merchant locations. So again, you'll see our logo, either AFFN or the Eagle logo on ATMs and checkout locations. But we are the quiet network behind the scenes, right? Our banks and our credit unions have the relationship with our military and veteran consumers. We're just behind the scenes to make it work, right? We're kind of like the phone company in the EFT space, the ATM and point of sale space. So we've always been behind the scenes supporting our military banks and our defense credit unions, but we are at the heart and soul of this program and kind of what we do. And I have to do a shout out to my team because we have a special forces team of 6 highly skilled professionals, and that's it. So what we do every single day to run our business and then to administer these programs, our men and women, give back and pay it forward with every single thing we do, both in the professional space, in our personal lives, and in what we give back, and donate and dedicate in our charitable work as well.
That's amazing. And you said you had a team of 6 people.
6 people and counting me,
and you're
me, yeah.
Counting you, and you're running this national network that basically, if anybody that's in the military using a bank, an ATM, credit union, you're using AFFN or AFFN, however you like to say it. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, we smart source our data processing to our strategic processing partner, FIS, out of Jacksonville, Florida. So we don't have to handle the processing piece of it, but we manage the relationship to make sure that the processing is to our standard to serve those who serve.
That's absolutely incredible.
That is really, really amazing. Just mind blowing, John, just to think of that service and making sure that, all the troops have access to their paycheck. I mean, that's really what it is. And years ago it was easy. You handed the money out, but now
and think about it. It's around the globe, right? It's not just here in North Carolina or in Delaware. It is truly in every time zone.
And we're going to have to hear a little bit more about that when we get back. You've been listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together.
We'll be back with more of Putting the Pieces Back Together with your hosts, John Gallina and Brad Borders, after this short break on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
So we're back live. John Broda, I've got to tell you, you are the best John on the show by far.
Hey, wait a minute now.
Just remember who pays your salary.
Yeah,
that would be John Broda. Thanks for your donation,
yes, thank
John.
you for your donation, sir. And thank you to all the other grant partners out there who make sure that we keep the lights on over there at PHH. Yeah,
that's right.
We certainly appreciate that.
John, you have a Labradoodle, is that right?
I have a Bernedoodle. So a
Bernedoodle.
Bernese Mountain Dog. Yeah,
You
which
know, Harry's got one
Mr.
of those.
Patty. Gosh, he
Patty,
is.
that's right.
Yeah, Patty like the Irish whiskey.
Yeah.
But Mr. Patty turns 4 years old this coming September. So we drove down and stopped in and visited you all at Purple Heart Homes on the way down to pick up the pup.
I remember
Um,
that. Yeah.
And he was born, that was in November 2021. He was born on 9/11. And
Oh,
so he
wow.
is, maybe I'm being a little biased, but he is probably one of the best animals ever to be in our family. He is loved by, the dog park people, the community. He's not met a person or an animal that he has not gotten along with. And so, he's a special addition to our family.
We've got a golden doodle, and I think the doodles are just like they're smart and intelligent, and that means the same thing, doesn't it? But the opposite of me. But they are jovial and friendly, like I am. So,
Is that right?
Yeah. That's why they call me the devil dog.
Lovable and cuttable. Is that what you're saying?
That's right. Yeah. A little bit furry, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Scratch behind the ears. You start kicking your leg.
Well, no. I went to the doctor. We got that fixed.
Oh, okay. That's too funny. I'll never forget when we've always had little fur babies in our house, and my wife and I first got married, and I had not been home from Iraq very long, and so she'd put my medicine out on the counter for me, and I'd go in and I'd take my medicine, in the morning on my way out the door, and one morning she had apparently taken the dog to the vet the day before, and they gave the dog some medicine. So I walked out there and I was like, "Oh, there's an extra pill. I must have missed one." I grabbed it up and took the dog's pill. So we watched for multiple days to see if I was going to start foaming at the mouth, barking, or who knows, peeing on the fire hydrant. You never know.
You do bark from time to time. Just not in that sense.
According to Carrie and a few others, I may growl a few times a day too.
Is that right? Don't worry, he saves that for the executives. He, the little guy like me, I don't have to hear that.
Yeah. So John, when are you going to be back down this way?
You know what? It has been a while. We have to look at our schedules and again, maybe talk to you about coming down to St. Pete for the Defense Credit Union Annual Conference.
Would love
It's
to.
down, and our offices are not too far from there, so we're coming down the week before to do some work on site. So maybe we can compare calendars and have you come in and see some of your old family.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. We had Tony Hernandez was on the show several months ago, and unfortunately, I wasn't in town that day for the show. But I miss getting to see you guys. COVID really kind of messed all that stuff up, where kind of got out of the routine. I'd love to come visit everybody at some of the conferences.
Yeah, so Tony is one of our co-owners at the Defense Credit Union Council, and his counterpart, General Steve Lepper, represents the Military Banks of America. So those are two of my bosses, two of my board members, and again, brothers from different mothers, right? We all are here to serve and do, fulfill our mission. So they're great veterans that I have the honor of serving alongside to complete our mission here at AFFN.
That's awesome. Now, John, we're getting ready to go back to live on the radio, and you mentioned service. I'd like to talk a little bit about how your family served. We had a conversation about that off air.
Yeah.
Tom Busby, Bloomberg Radio.
Now, more Putting the Pieces Back Together with John Gallina and Brad Borders on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
If you have missed any part of today's show, you are missing a treat. We have John Broda with Armed Forces Financial Network, President and CEO of Armed Forces Financial Network, on the show with us today. And he has been sharing stories with us about other organizations that they've supported, and telling us about the work of Armed Forces Financial Network and the breadth of the organization and just the true impact that they have for all those that wear our nation's uniform. And we're just so thankful to have him on here. Been a longtime friend of Purple Heart Homes. And John, I know you have had some experience with our military yourself directly, and serving and supporting them and taking care of them and providing for them. But you come at this with a heart not just of service yourself, but a heart for veterans. And can you share a little bit with us where that comes from?
Again, thank you for that. So I never had the honor to wear the uniform. I think back in the day when I was considering careers, right? I, I didn't want to kill or be killed. I mean, that was the thing in my head, right? If I was ever given the option to serve in a different capacity, I think I would have gone that route. But in my family, growing up in New Jersey and Northeast Pennsylvania, my dad's family is from. Uh, our family has a long-standing history serving the United States back to the Revolutionary War days. We have family books that are published with our ancestors who served right up under General George Washington from the New Jersey and the Pennsylvania regiments.
Wow.
And in fact, one of my relatives, when he passed away, the widow, his pension was approved by Congress. I think it was like something like $50 a year. So it's pretty incredible. But that part of our country is steeped in, you know, um, Revolutionary War history, and so I'm proud of that, right? And fast forward into the 1950s, 60s, 70s, my grandparents, my mom's mom and dad, worked at Picatinny Arsenal. It's a Army arsenal about an hour outside of Manhattan in the mountains of New Jersey.
Mhm.
And my grandparents had a home not too far from there. And back in the day, most able-bodied men were deployed. And so it was the older generation and disabled generation that were working there. But then women came to work, right? So my granddad was a very large man in stature and commanding. And so he was a big daddy rabbit, a boss up at the arsenal. And my grandmother, in stockings and high heels, went to work every day and made weaponry up in the mountains. And
No kidding.
I listened to stories around the picnic table, around the dining room table, of what these men and women did. Here, this is my nana, my grandmother, and she's talking about she and her colleagues, kicking rattlesnakes and copperheads out from underneath the munition tables and fighting them off in their lockers. And I'm like, man, these these women are leaving the comfort of their homes, right, to go and support our troops deployed, right? And they took their work very seriously. And so again, listening to these stories, knowing what they did, every single day in support of our troops, just resonated with me, right? I was
That
just up in New
is
Jersey about a month ago, and it was in the news. There were a number of earthquakes, pretty large earthquake, about 4.8. And again, growing up there, we always had small rumblings, but it was those explosions that we always worried about, right?
mhm.
When there was an explosion at the arsenal, you just waited to hear the alarms and wondered who was impacted. And so during that earthquake about a month ago, I just sat and listened, right? And it brought me right back to the days of growing up as a kid saying, I wonder if my grandparents are safe. I wonder if their co-workers are safe. But that arsenal is still there. It is active. It is part of that community. I just happen to be a third generation member of that credit union, that Army credit union, Picatinny Federal Credit Union. And every time I go in there, I just think of my grandparents and my parents banking there in the old, Quonset hut um, building up on the arsenal. And that's way before ATMs and way before automation. And they would go in and, just, cash their paycheck and do simple transactions. And now I can take my card and use it around the world through the network of AFFN. So,
That's
uh,
quite incredible. I mean, you talk about going from people literally being in the mountains and fighting off rattlesnakes
yeah.
and how they dealt with that old credit union where everything was paper and just written down by hand, and now you can access that same place that your grandparents did across the world because of what you're doing.
It's my way of giving back, right? This is my way to serve, right? And I've done this now. The Armed Forces Financial Network is 39 years old this year, and I've been around 38 of those 39 years. Started as a community banker, as a part-time teller in high school and college, and worked my way through the banking, then was bitten by the technology bug, and came in through data processing, and then over to the network side of AFFN, for the past 24 years. So my entire career has been in community banking in New Jersey, and then technology in New Jersey, and then AFFN. So again, my roots run deep, but again, always coming back to our active duty, our guard and reservists, our veterans, because that's how my family, taught us, right? To respect those who volunteer and serve, and to give back, right? To give back and pay it forward.
Speaking of technology, that's something else that, just when you said that, it dawned on me. You and Tony were a big part of, connecting Purple Heart Homes to the program called Board Source, where we have all of our information, our meetings, and our communications through for our board meetings, and been a phenomenal tool for us. And I didn't quite make that connection before, but it just clicked with me. I remember in our meeting there with Tony that was brought up, and you guys supported that first year, and so that's really cool. And speaking of Tony, share. You mentioned just a little bit about Defense Credit Union Council. Explain to our listeners what that is. We got about 3 minutes before our next break. Can you kind of give us a high level overview of that?
So there are two trade associations that represent our military banks of America, AMBA, the Association of Military Banks of America, and the Defense Credit Union Council. So those are two organizations that work with their sister trade associations like American Bankers Association or CUNA, or ICBA, the Independent Community Banks of America. But these two organizations speak military, right? They speak veteran, and they interface not only with DC and state legislators, but also and Congress, but also the Department of Defense, right? Because if you're a bank or credit union that want to do business with our military and serve those who serve or served, there are different acronyms, there are different rules, there are different laws and regulations. And so instead of the Department of Defense having to field 375 different, inquiries, right? These two organizations spearhead that and work with those members. So, any credit union, that has a veteran or has active duty members or current reserves can be a member of the Defense Credit Union Council. And the same thing with AMBA. Any bank that has those members in their community can join, right, to show their support. And it's just another like good housekeeping seal of approval that says, hey, we're a military bank or we're a defense credit union, and we wrap ourselves in the flag because it's important for those who we want to serve in the community that we have branches in and that we invest in, every single day.
That is absolutely incredible.
It was really interesting. One of the conferences I attended in Washington, the keynote speaker, was the head of finance for the Air Force, and I thought that was so cool, right? I mean, you think as a young soldier, think, man, I got these problems. Who do I call? And here this network with Defense Credit Union Association, they got the head of Air Force Finance coming in, and that's their speaker. That's the type of network
for all those hotel rooms that the Air Force stays in, huh? Is that
again? You can't be mission ready without being, financially, solid, right? And I think defense credit unions and military banks also, as part of their mission to serve, is they have to provide free education, right, and financial literacy to train our young troops, but really to help our military and veteran communities.
Absolutely. Hey, John, we've got to put a pin in it right there. If you want to hear more from John Broda, get back with us after the break.
Putting the pieces back together. We'll be back with more of John Gallina and Brad Borders after these messages from 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
John, this is so great. Just phenomenal content, and love what you're putting out here. While we're here in the break live on Facebook, tell us a little bit about your home renovation. I would imagine by now it's probably completed, but you renovated your family home, historical house.
So again, I'm a hands-on kind of person for demolition only, and I have to bring in the talented craft people to rebuild and restore. But yeah, one of my passions over the past 25 years has been restoring a Victorian home from the 1800s, 1880, in New Jersey, and that was
Wow.
completed. Believe it or not, I've sold it 3 years ago and passed it on to the next caregivers. But I was the only sixth owner in the history of that house, and now there's the seventh owner is the steward. But it was a great experience. It was a great way to really revitalize the neighborhood. I lived in an entire historic district, was born while I was there because they saw what I was doing with my home, and other people in that community also applied for historic preservation. So I know that that street in that town will, for hundreds of years beyond me, will continue to do what I started. So that
That's
was very rewarding, but it was time. I think my checkbook saw the second wave of those major appliances and major, heating and air conditioning systems and all that needed to be replaced.
Oh yeah, and
And I
you've
was
got
like,
to do that a
yeah,
special way too, because you're talking about a historical home, right? You can't just throw
yeah,
something in there.
no. So I did my part, right? And it was like it's time for someone else to enjoy it and someone else to invest. So yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, I think, just through that process, there's, an understanding of maybe what challenges veteran homeowners may face when getting their home renovated, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, just think about, people were smaller back in the 1800s, right? So even the treads on the stairs were, and I'm a size 11 foot, right? My foot didn't even fit on the step unless I went sideways. It would
Holy
never pass code
smokes.
today, right? Um, Bathrooms snuck in old closets because bathrooms weren't part of those homes back in the day, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, John, as I look at some of the work that you all do with renovating first floor, accommodations for veterans, um, Victorians, those homes, there is no way that they could have done it with all the curves and twists and turns and small rooms. But yeah, it was a once in a lifetime experience, and I don't ever want to do it again. But I'm glad I did it.
That's really cool. We're about to go back live here in 10 seconds. Stand by.
Now Massage Therapy. Serenity Now Massage and Wellness.com with locations in Mooresville and Cornelius.
It's Putting the Pieces Back Together with John Gallina and Brad Borders on 1059 100.7 WSIC.
All right, we are back, and we are here live with President and CEO John Broda of
The good
Armed
John.
Forces Financial Network. And Devin, this may be your last show, but be sure that everybody will know what happened to you. I'll come tell them. So, John, you were telling us there during the break a little bit about your home renovation experiences, and certainly a little different being a historical home, but just thinking through some of the challenges that veterans face, and knowing all the support that you provided to veterans, and certainly through Purple Heart Homes and helping us be able to renovate houses, just been a tremendous impact, providing that freedom of movement and just that peace of mind. I oftentimes think about that in the sense that, there is peace of mind knowing that you can get to your money through the ATM machine
Absolutely.
or through the teller. And then there's that peace of mind to know that your roof doesn't leak and that you got a safe place to call home. And so you've
Absolutely.
done a
I can
tremendous
tell
amount
you,
there.
I've been blessed as well through this program, through our military community support program, and just our vast network of veteran service organizations to team up and mentor a number of veterans, right, in different areas. And when I say mentor, I'm just there as a businessman, right, as someone that's been around the block a few times, right. So, you know, I look at Zeke from Handicap and or Josh from J Tread Woodworking, or Kevin from Smoky Quartz Distillery up in New Hampshire. You know, I want to help, right? And we want to do good and be kind. And if there's an opportunity to get the word out about a particular artist, right? A veteran, a wounded warrior turned entrepreneur, right? How can we get the word out? And within our network, we can. right? Zeke does amazing work at Handicap, and he does artwork out of bottle caps, right? Jay Tread Woodworking. Josh came through as a wounded warrior through the dog tag, an incredible baker, business person, but his side hustle was woodworking and creating art, right? And so in my network and my family, we support veterans, right? So we don't go to the mall for gift giving, right? We look around and say, are there veterans who have a God-given talent and that need us to help them with their small business? And we get the word out in our family and friends. And we've done that on the business side as well. So a number of our banks and credit unions have, commissioned pieces of art from Handicap and for their corporate headquarters, or J Tread Woodworking, military challenge coin holders for board members or for their branches. Smoky Quartz, Kevin, has donated, bottles of alcohol, regimental whiskey, the same thing for, golf outings where we're raising funds for.
Now, wait a minute. I got to interrupt here just a second. Alcohol and golf outings is probably one of the coolest things I've ever done on a golf course. And I'm not
That's
talking.
Right. You and Corianne were up with me in Massachusetts.
That's exactly right.
I knew where you were going to go with that.
What an amazing experience. I learned something. We've shared that at all kinds of golf courses and tournaments. And so tell our listeners a little bit about what you do on a golf course to help raise money for charities.
So you would think as a banker my entire career, I would play outrageous golf. I play none. Right? I drive a mean golf cart. I can pour beer. I can help raise funds.
I don't think you can be a banker, sir. I'm not.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm on the technology side, right? But so we started this at Hanscom Federal Credit Union and their charitable foundation a number of years ago on the putting contest, right? And everyone putts and wants to hit a hole, right? But quite frankly, as a non-golfer, it's boring. So what we did is we decided to go out to the community and ask for donations. We raised money to buy bottles of alcohol, beer, airline bottles, larger bottles, and we allowed golfers to take a shot for, X, 3 shots for Y. And if they hit the bottle directly, they got to win it. If they broke it, they were SOL. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on radio. And if they missed, they got a chance to do it again. So we've raised, and historically, over the decade that we've been doing this, we have raised more money at that same day golf event than any other activity. And people love it. And
that's
like John said, people have taken it to their own events. And it's fun because people like to win. And people like to win, alcohol that they can, maybe use right after their golf and on their way home, at home. So,
absolutely.
And out of that event, we did a partnership with Hanscom Federal Credit Union, and we actually did a couple of projects up there with them. It's been a couple of years ago now, but one of them we actually built a wheelchair ramp in the snow, and that was an interesting experience. Yeah.
I also remember though at you leaving that event. On the way back to the airport, you also got to make a side trip to a baseball game.
We did. My wife Corianne was there, and there was a couple of players that came out and were they players that were in the golf tournament?
Players or people that worked in the organization that hooked you guys up, right?
Yeah, that's right. And so we got hooked up with John connected us to do a tour of the Red Sox stadium. And,
no kidding.
One of my wife's bucket list items was to go to a Red Sox game. And so while we were up there, we went to a game. It was really cool. We stayed just like a block away from the stadium. And so right after the golf tournament, we drove into the city, went to the game, walked to the house, and it was really cool. Great experience.
Now I've heard you say golf tournament like 16 times, and I think we would be amiss if we didn't mention that Purple Heart Homes has its own golf tournament actually tomorrow. So the 19th of April. Now it's too late to get a spot in the golf tournament. I apologize, but there are still some whole sponsorships open, and we do want to say thank you to all of our sponsors for the tournament. We've got some incredible sponsors out there with the Veterans Guardian and Aero Mechanical, Conserved Veterans for America, Wiley X. Their sunglasses are amazing if you haven't seen them. Cannon Honey Mill Phase 2, and just a whole bunch of other folks. So we want to say thank you to all those folks that are sponsoring that out there.
And speaking of upcoming events, on July the 17th, we are having a Real Heroes fishing tournament. This is not just any fishing tournament.
Oh, no.
It is off of kayaks. So you fish from a kayak, and so I posted a couple links in the Facebook feed here for today's show. But in addition, you can always go to Purple Heart Homes website at phhusa.org, where you can learn more about upcoming events and how you can get involved and support this charity and the work that we're doing to help veterans have safe, accessible housing.
Absolutely. So
Yeah, I think from my perspective as a civilian, right, there is no greater honor than to assist, right, to assist, those who serve or have served their military families, right. So to your listeners, you don't have to be in the military, you don't have to be a veteran to help a brother or sister out, right. And that's the whole idea of just doing good and being kind. So if there's any way, right, either give your time or give some dollars, right? I think that's the best way that we can, show support, because it does make a difference, when we collectively come together.
And that's become one of the things that I've tried to share with folks. It doesn't matter to me whether it's veterans, whether it's homeless, whether it's children trafficking, whatever it is. Together we can do more. And John, you really helped us in the aspect of developing Purple Heart Homes culture and understanding that it is about family. Family is who you choose to work with, who you choose to be around, who you choose to embrace. And
absolutely.
when you work side by side because you have a like mind and a heart to give, it really becomes easy. And I just I appreciate you for that and all your years of support, the mentoring, the help, and it's made a tremendous difference. We're very blessed
Ditto,
by
sir. Yeah, you guys inspire so many, right? And again, you're so true that blood connects us to relatives, right? But our mission and purpose connect us to family, and I think more people need to think of it in that way, right? And we'd have less friction in this world if we all said, hey, we're all part of the same human family. We just got to do better.
Yep, that's right. That's right. Well, we got just about a minute left here. We're going to go ahead and start wrapping up. John, just thank you so much. Look forward to connecting with you down in St. Pete. And Devin, who do we got on the show next week?
Actually, we have a surprise guest, which means really it's an unconfirmed guest. Yeah, well, yeah,
Oh.
my one guest canceled out on me, so we're going to have to let the listeners see who's coming up next week. And I've got an amazing prospect. Let's just say there's something to do with what's that?
And I heard you. We're going to leave everybody hanging on that, but I heard John say that you were taking recommendations now. So if we got listeners that want to make a recommendation, they can contact Devin and through the website at phhusa.org.
Wow, it's Jinx. You owe me a Coke, John.
Here you go.
It's empty. It's empty.
All right, you've been listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together. Thanks so much for listening, and we appreciate all the support.
You've been listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together, brought to you by Purple Heart Homes. Please consider making a donation to this worthwhile cause dedicated to improving the lives of veterans one home at a time by visiting purplehearthomeusa.org. Join us again next Thursday at 3 p.m. for Putting the Pieces Back Together on WSIC News Talk Now.
Serving you better than ever before. 105.9 100.7 WSIC, Statesville, Morrisville, North Charlotte.
John, thank you so much. Great hearing your voice and having you on the show. And I don't know what the time frame is for St. Pete, but I'll certainly get online and start getting it lined up on my end.
I'll shoot you the dates, and even if you come in for the opening chairman's reception and then just reconnect with some of our leaders, Tony and some of the board members,